Hey, what is up, you sexy beast? GhostSickness Tristan here. I'm bringing you guys another My First. Now, I don't do this series that often because I really don't have that many My First left, and I've said this before, and it's just because I've lived, man. I've told a bunch of stories, and whether they're in the My First or not, I've told a bunch of stories. I'm talking childhood stories, funny stories, My First, My Worst, My Best, and all this other stuff like that, and that's all linked in the description below, guys, so go check out those playlists because they're phenomenal, and they kind of go over my life, and I've told a bunch of stories, and some of them might be firsts, I guess I could classify them all as firsts, but I like to leave them in those series because that's what I initially titled them as. So before you guys are like, hey, you need to do more My First, bro, I've done pretty much everything, and I've talked about a lot of experiences and stuff like that and stories on my channel, and the only thing I really haven't done is had sex so far. So that's pretty much it, and I guess that'll be the final My First. Until I can do some other ones, but I haven't been in a fight, so don't ask me to do that one or something like that. But yeah, I don't really know, guys. I really hope you are enjoying the My First, though. Anyway, I'm gonna get right into it. I'm sorry for that kind of introduction, but like, you guys are always asking me to do My First, and that's a good thing because I'm really glad you guys like hearing my stories. This is my first addiction. This is the first thing I was ever really addicted to, and it's not going to be serious, and I'm going to say that right out of the gate. It's not going to be serious as like someone who's addicted to weed or someone who's addicted to meth or cocaine. And I'm not talking like, you know, with weed, you guys are going to get into this huge debate. Not like physically addicted, but like it's part of their lifestyle and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm going to be talking about being addicted to caffeine. Yes, it's the most addictive or most overused or whatever drug in America and in other countries as well. And I just want to talk about my personal experience with caffeine. I hope that's not a bad thing. I hope you guys aren't like, yeah, faggot, he's not addicted to heroin, click off the video, fuck this guy. But, you know, it's an addiction nonetheless, and it did cause my life some kind of turmoil, and it's just caused me to kind of go through a detox and stuff like that. It's a pretty interesting story, so I'm going to get right into it. So, caffeine. I've always pretty much had caffeine. I've always really enjoyed caffeine. It's been it's been a great thing. It's in a lot of my favorite things like teas and coffees and sodas, and caffeine's awesome. But the thing about it is when you rely on it for certain things like preventing migraines or, you know, having it every single day to avoid migraines and whatnot, then it gets to the bad realm, and then it gets to the part where you really shouldn't be intaking caffeine every day, especially at, you know, 300-400 milligrams or whatever, just an excessive amount of caffeine. So, you know, caffeine in a cup of coffee is about 150 milligrams, which isn't that much, but if you have, you know, like 3 cups of coffee and stuff like that a day, or you're just having like 2 energy drinks or a lot of caffeine, and it can also be quite expensive. So anyway, I'm going to describe to you guys my problem. So it pretty much started last year. Like I said, I've always really had caffeine. It's always been a part of my life. It's always been around pretty much, but it was never this bad. So it would be pretty bad. Like I would have, you know, a 5-hour energy sometimes, which has a lot of caffeine. I think like 250 milligrams, quite a bit. And, you know, about as much as you should have in a given day, especially because I'm a teenager, right? And I would have it every single morning. Like I would have something called the Zip Fizz, which has caffeine, about 100 milligrams, so about a cup of coffee or something like that. And I would have that, you know, pretty much every day. I would start my day with a Zip Fizz and some breakfast, and I would just be on my way. So a little bit of caffeine in the morning every single morning. Now, if I would miss a day, I would get a awful migraine. I would get a horrible migraine, and it absolutely sucks, guys. And so that was kind of my motivation. That was keeping me in the game to continue with this addiction. I'm going to kind of give a moral of the story at the end here with this kind of lesson. But yeah, it was kind of keeping me in the game as like, look, dude, if I don't have my caffeine today, I'm going to get a migraine and shit. We're out of Zip Fizz, so what am I going to do? Blah, blah, blah. I got to get a soda, got to get a coffee, got to get something like that, some with caffeine. I don't know if you guys are addicted to caffeine or something like that. If you're addicted to anything, please let me know in the comment section below. I would be really interested in reading those. But yeah, it became an everyday thing, a demand, something that I had to have, and I would feel the migraine coming on. I'm like, shit, I didn't have caffeine, gotta get caffeine, gotta have a soda, gotta have something like this. And it was bad for my health because usually this stuff is loaded with sugar, right? The things that have caffeine are also loaded with sugar and just bad things in general. So it's forcing me to waste this money to, you know, go out and get that latte or go out and do this, buy a soda, buy an energy drink when I didn't want to, buy a 5-hour energy. Man, those things are like $3. And so it became a problem doing it every single day and having caffeine every single day. And if I didn't, getting a migraine, it's like punishing me for not having caffeine. So I decided to, you know, I talked to my mom and I talked to my dad about it, and it's like, look, I should really stop this, but I'm going to have to go through like a mad detox. I Googled it, I looked it up, and it's like, all right, well, you're going to have to quit caffeine. You know, you can quit it cold turkey and you'll have to suffer through migraines and you'll have to suffer through stuff like this. But, I relied on it for school purposes as well. I'm like, look, it'll help me focus. It'll be great for me. And so I was reading these, and it's like, look, the best way to do it is cold turkey. Now, your withdrawal symptoms, which there are withdrawal symptoms from caffeine, are going to be worse. And so I'm like, shit. So what I did was I decided to just do it cold turkey. So on June 13th was my last day that I had caffeine, and I posted a picture on Facebook, I'll show it right now, of me with the soda that I had. It was a natural Coca-Cola, and by natural I mean it's made with real sugar, like the Mexican version of Coca-Cola. Really, really good stuff instead of being made with corn syrup. Fantastic soda. If you guys prefer the like throwback Mountain Dew, this is basically throwback Coke. It's phenomenal, but that's besides the point. So this was the last little bit of caffeine that I had, and then I just completely stopped after that. I had none the next day for an entire month, a little bit over a month. I think I made it to the 13th or 14th of July, and I was like, look, you know what? Let's have some tea. Let's have something with caffeine. And I completely avoided it from pretty much everything. Like I had a little bit of chocolate, and chocolate has caffeine, but it's only, like what, 2-3 milligrams. It's nothing to give you like a caffeine high or a caffeine buzz, because all this caffeine came out of your system. You guys are probably like, well, what happened to you, man? I mean, did you just quit cold turkey and everything was peachy keen? No, man. The next day I woke up, 6 a.m. to go to work, and my fucking head was throbbing. I had this horrible migraine. So I popped some Molly. I'm kidding. I popped some aspirin, got in the shower when I was ready for work, and by the time I left for work, my migraine is pretty much subsided, so it was good. And I did have a few other headaches here and there for the first week or so. The first week was absolutely awful. It could have been worse, but the headaches were pretty much the worst part. The not having caffeine wasn't that bad. And what I'll tell you is interesting is someone who, I still could drink caffeine regularly, but I don't depend on it every day. And there's a huge difference between that. So I use it just, kind of, I'll get into that in a second. I'm sorry, guys, I'm all over the place. But yeah, for that month that I took off of caffeine, it was wonderful. It was great. I slept better. I went to bed easier, and I felt less, like pain in my back and pain and stuff like that, because caffeine tenses up your muscles, and so if they're always tense and stuff, they never get to really relax, and because if you never get that caffeine out of your system, right? Anyway, I'm not a doctor, but I did do some research. Anyway, so I did feel that, and I got to sleep easier. I woke up and I was less groggy, and I was, it was really weird. It was kind of counterintuitive. I woke up and I was more alert and ready to go because I didn't need to wait for this caffeine to kick in. I just woke up and it was, I got a good sleep again, and I was more hydrated, obviously, because caffeine dehydrates you, and especially the things it comes in, like sodas and coffees, also dehydrate you. And I was having, more water and stuff like that to replace these non-caffeinated drinks. And it sucked not having these drinks with caffeine, right? Because I really enjoy these certain drinks with caffeine, like the taste of mochas and the taste of coffees and stuff like that, and tea, but it all has caffeine. Now, there are decaffeinated stuff, but it just doesn't taste the same. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like decaffeinated tea and stuff like that. So anyway, yeah, I did that, and it was awesome. It was great. It was really weird because you feel more alert and awake than ever before not having caffeine. It's really weird. You wouldn't expect that at all, but that's the result that I got, and I was absolutely astounded and pleased with it. I was like, fuck yes. Finally, I kicked caffeine, and I no longer had really much drive for it. I would make sure to avoid it. I'd be like, okay, does this have caffeine? No. Okay, good. Is this soda, just soda? Okay, good. There's no caffeine in it, like Barritos or something like that. Or Jarritos, I don't really know. Anyway, that's my personal experience with addiction. Now, the thing I did, the moral of the story is to recognize that you're addicted to something, to recognize that you're dependent on something. So think of being dependent. Think of needing something to do something else for you. And in this case, it was needing it to avoid migraines. It was needing it to, focus at school and stay awake and stupid stuff like that, when indeed it brought on more negative consequences than good ones. And that's a really clear sign of addiction, and a really bad one. So if you're addicted to anything in your life, it could be cigarettes, it could be alcohol, it could be chew, it could be, I don't know, cocaine, meth, heroin, it doesn't matter, right? Maybe you're socially addicted to marijuana, and you can't put it down, and you just need to stop, man. Stop cold turkey. And with some things, it can be risky, like alcohol is one of the only ones with withdrawal symptoms as well. It's pretty bad. Like if you just quit cocaine out of nowhere, your body's going to be fine. But with alcohol, you really need a detox and stuff like that. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, those are my personal experiences with addiction. If you guys are addicted to anything, please let me know, and comment RY if you made it to this part of the video. Remember the fact that I love you guys, and kick your addictions. I love you.